Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live chat. I'm Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and I'm so excited today to talk about the newest free motion challenge, Quilting Along. Now last week on my live chat, which is every week, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central, I said, I hope I can announce the live chat next Thursday, and I ended up making it go live on Monday. So we decided to make it a pre-order and go ahead and get it out there. And I know I wanted to save it for the live chat, but I didn't want the website to crash. So we kind of did a soft launch, and now I'm excited to go into more detail and tell you all about it. Now, as I go through the pictures and explain to you what this kind of thing is, for those of you that may not have participated before, be sure to type your questions in because Jessica's here monitoring and she's going to hand them to me at the end so I can answer them for you. But I'm super excited about this challenge, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be working through. So first of all, fabulous feathers. I know this isn't the first time that we have done feathers as a free motion challenge. The last time we did it was way back. It was actually my second challenge. And I'm excited to kind of visit it and go even deeper into the feathers. And now that I'm designing my own panels, I can make something that is specific for this. So it's going to complement. There's not going to be a whole lot of overlap, but will definitely get you going. So you don't have to do that one to do this one. It's going to be lots of fun. So let's kind of talk about what the schedule looks like. I have it slated to start mid-November. So tentatively the 9th or the 16th. It just depends on when we get the fabric. I want to make sure everybody gets their kit that wants it before we get started. So just give me a week and I'll be able to give you a hard date on that. So we're going to talk through different aspects of feathers, and every week, as usual, I'll do a live chat. It'll just be specific to the challenge. So this is all on the website. You can just check the description box below, and there's a link that you can click that will take you to that. Okay, so the first week, we're going to talk about just quilting feathers and variations. The difference is we're going to be putting them in blocks. So what I love about learning how to quilt designs, especially feathers or things that can be a little intimidating, having a defined area to fill in makes it so much easier. At least that's what I think. And so we're going to be working through the center of the quilt, filling in with feathers and variations. And I'll show you some different options. And we'll talk about how you can treat these blocks and kind of use it in other areas of your quilt. So super excited. We're going to go over, like the basic feather, a more custom feather that has a little bit of backtracking. We'll also do filling. How do you fill in the whole area? Do you quilt your own spine? Do you use the piecing like a spine? We're going to talk about adding some fun little details like a plume feather, some swirly feathers, maybe even some ferny kind of feathers. And I'm going to encourage you to use your imagination and come up with your own options. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The second week, we're going to get into the feather meander. Now, I'm kind of excited about this. We're going to learn how to take that feather and repeat it around and around and over again to make a meander. And if you're brand new to free motion quilting, you can totally do this. I promise I'll be with you every step of the way. But if you have a little bit more experience, you want some design ideas, we're gonna just tippy-toe into thread painting. So we're gonna talk about how you can build up colors by using different color threads, how you can give it kind of a fade effect. Again, this is not gonna be for every quilt, but it is a fun way to just start experimenting with those thread colors that you might have laying around. So here you can see the different colors that I'm using to kind of give it this effect. So you can make this as fun and easy or as intense and advanced as you want. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I love playing with threads. You all know that that's kind of my thing, so I can't wait for this week to kind of get into that. Then we're going to go into motifs. Now, the last Feathers Challenge we did all those years ago, we did mini motifs, but we're going to be talking about full-on motifs. And a motif is just a self-contained design, and we're going to talk about the components of a motif and how to fill in triangles and other areas with it. So again, playing with different variations and showing you how you can create this custom kind of look really easily once you get the hang of it. So can't wait to go into that. Again, with different variations and different ways that you can do it. Half motifs, full motifs, motifs for days. It's going to be fun. All right, week 4, we're going to go just a little bit different. We're going to talk about filling in irregular areas. So as I sit down and plan out a challenge, I kind of make a list of, those trouble spots that some quilters run into, things that I've struggled with, and I try to design the panel around that. And irregular spaces is one of those things that you can't always plan for. So we're going to talk about how you can make them look like they're going around an area, behind an area. How do you fill in that shape that's not quite, a border, but it's not quite a big background. And we're going to kind of just have fun going into some different options for that. So again, you're probably not going to always have a quilt that looks just like this, but the tips that I give you will be applicable to any quilt that you're working on. So irregular areas, and you can just kind of see, I've already kind of quilted my panel, and it was just fun trying to think of as many different variations that I could share, to make it lots of fun. Then week 5, we're going to talk about turning the corner. So when you're quilting borders or sections that rotate, there's different options you have as far as how do you make that design do that. And so I try to think of different ways to get around rotating, and then I'll show you how to do it as well. So first, we'll talk about running off the edge. The thing about rotating around a border corner is that corner has a little bit more area than the border, so you kind of need it to expand to fill it. And it's just one more thing to think about. So I'm going to talk about how you can just run that feather right off the edge and back on to avoid that if you'd like. It's going to give your quilts a little bit more of a modern look. Or how you can make them meet up in the corner. So instead of turning it, if you have segments or sections of your feather, you can maybe quilt it so that it kind of meets up in the corner and you don't have to worry about turning it. You could go at an angle. Maybe you're like, I'm going to go totally wild and I'm going to quilt it, at an angle as opposed to running parallel with the border. That's going to be a fun option. And then I'll talk about, of course, turning the corner, how you can give your quilting a more traditional custom look, how you would normally see a feather on there. And we'll talk about how to turn the corner and make that inner part and the outer part kind of fill it up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the very last week, we're going to talk about borders. And I'll talk about the optional border panel here in a second. But we're going to talk about how do you progress through a quilt with your borders? How do you fill in an area? It's going to be a lot of fun. And that will kind of round out the 6-week challenge. So I had so much fun kind of daydreaming and thinking about, what could I teach and how can we go about this? So again, I'm going to do some borders on there as well. Okay, so one thing I want to touch on is how do you participate? So I guess I've never really sat down and spelled it out. And so I'm going to just real quickly run down that for those of you that maybe have never participated in challenge before. I think this will be our 11th, if I remember correctly. So it's really easy is the short answer. It's very, very easy to participate. So first, once the challenge starts, you're going to watch the tutorial. So that will be on my YouTube channel, and it will come out on Tuesday, and you can watch the tutorial, and I will go over an aspect which you've already seen. So the first week, I'll talk about how to quilt blocks and demonstrate it on a sewing machine and a long arm. So I'm going to talk through it, demonstrate it. You'll get to see that week's challenge and kind of what you're due to learn. Then you're going to download the diagrams. So every week I have free downloadable diagrams and tip sheets. So if that is how you learn, if you want to take that handout, take it over to your machine and kind of have it to reference, you can definitely do that. And if you need a little bit more help, a little bit more detail, I'll have expanded references available for sale as well. But I really want it to be I want the challenge to be something that's going to be very helpful. So diagrams are one of those things that you can print out and have next to you. So you'll download that. Those will always be in the description box in the video, and you can always go to my website where there will be links and they'll be there as well. Now, what happens if you can't watch the video that week or you're not doing the challenge right now? No worries. It's going to stay on my YouTube channel, so you can definitely do it at your convenience. So don't feel like, oh, if I miss it, I'll never get to do it. That's not the case at all. Then I'll have a live chat. Well, you already know where to go for the live chat, right? Because you found this, you're here right now. During the live chat, I'll go over a little bit of what we talked about that week. Sometimes there's things I have to edit out for time. I'll go into a little bit more detail. Usually I have more quilted examples just to kind of show you how you're going to use these designs in other quilts. And of course, you can ask your questions live. So you can type that down like you're doing right now. And Jessica will be here to write them down, and then I can read them out to you. So again, just to help make sure that what you're learning, you're kind of solidifying it. All right, then it's time to quilt. Right, so now you've got all the things. Now it's time to quilt along with me. You can quilt on anything you have laying around, a quilt sandwich, panel. We'll talk about things here in a second, but you got to actually do it. If you want to improve your feathers, I can give you all the great tips and funny jokes, but if you're not actually quilting, it's going to be hard to get better at it. So that's when you're going to quilt along. But I'll tell you, it's easier to do difficult stuff when you can do it with other people. So other people will be in the same boat. We'll all just be quilting along together. Then if you want to, you can encourage each other. You can go to the Facebook group. So I have a FMQ Challenge Facebook group, and that's where you can post pictures and ask questions and cheer each other on and kind of be in that community when you want to, when when you get done quilting, you're probably proud of yourself. You want to show that off. So you can definitely check that out. And there's the link to the website, and that will have a link to the Facebook group. Okay, let's talk about supplies. Don't try to read this. I know this graphic is small. When you go to the website, you can download this supply list and have it, handy if you'd like. Basically, here's the gist. There's no fee to participate in the challenge, and I try to keep the supply list super easy. I want everybody to give quilting a try and see if they like it or not, and keeping it really easy makes it more difficult to not do it. So basically, you're going to need a sewing machine with a free motion quilting foot. Doesn't matter what kind of foot you have. There's several. Just grab the one that you like the best. You're going to need a quilt sandwich to practice on. I'll be talking about the custom panel that I designed for the challenge, but if you have a unfinished, an unquilted top laying around, that's perfect. Fat quarter size sandwiches, that's perfect. You just need something to practice on. And then you're going to need some needles and thread. I think it's so important to use high quality machine quilting thread. It's going to save you so much stress. I always think, we can save money in areas, but not on the thread. So you get some high quality machine quilting thread and then some good needles. And I like Superior's top stitch needles because they're nice and strong. And that's like the basics. Like that's what you need to get started. If you can pull that together, then you can participate in the challenge. It's no problem. There are some optional things that will make it easier. You can definitely check that out, like Supreme sliders. I like that. If you have an extension table for your sewing machine, gloves help, all that kind of stuff. So you can check that out on the website. Again, the link is in the description box, and kind of start pulling your supplies together. So again, very easy to participate. Again, no cost. I really love seeing what everybody does, so I want to make it easy to go. But I do have some exclusive products, and why they're not required. They might make your quilting experience just a little bit better. So I'm going to kind of go over what I put together for the challenge. About 5 challenges ago, I started designing my own panels for the Free Motion Challenge, and it has been a game changer because I can specifically make a panel that's going to fit perfectly with the stuff we're going to learn. In the past, I always kind of had to find fabric or find somebody else's design, so this has been a really kind of fun progression. So this is the panel that I designed for the challenge. It's the Luminous panel, and this is what I'll be quilting on. So as we're working through the challenge, I'll be quilting on this, and if you're quilting along with me, I'll tell you what designs to put where. If you're a rule follower, if you want to make your own thing, you could definitely do that. So this is going to measure about 41 inches by 52, and it's just the perfect size, I think, to practice. Not so small, but not so big, so you can kind of get the experience of working through, and then when you're done, having this pretty panel. Let me tell you something, though. I designed the panel because I knew people wouldn't just get one of their tops probably and start quilting. We're scared about messing up our quilt tops, right? So I designed the panel, but then I hear people on the type chat being like, oh, I don't want to mess up the panel, so I'm going to wait till I'm better. And that's up to you, but I definitely want you to finish this. I want you to practice on here because it's going to be such a great piece to kind of see your improvement as you go, and then you'll have a finished quilt when you're done. And I think that's, so if you have the panel, let me encourage you to actually finish it and quilt on it, okay? That's enough. I won't preach too much, but I don't want you to be scared to quilt it. It's meant to give you the experience of quilting a quilt without the time and financial investment that you would have in a quilt. So, all right, a couple of challenges ago, I started adding an optional border panel. So if you want to make it a little bit bigger, or if you like borders, you can purchase the panel. Basically, there's strips that you're going to piece and sew onto your border or your quilt, and it's going to make it kind of just a little bit bigger and kind of look really fun. And so designing borders are always a little bit of a challenge because they do have to be pieced, but I like how these borders look like they're running off the edge, and we're going to play around with that when we do the week 6, so you can get the border panel as well. Again, none of it's required, but definitely helpful. And then if you want backing, this is going to be the backing option. It's the Luminous Feathers, and it's a beautiful navy with a teal outline, and it's going to kind of coordinate beautifully with the back and the front of the quilt. And this is going to have your backing and your binding, so it works whether you have borders or not, and it's going to look really good once you bind it in that. I mean, if binding is your kind of thing. We know I'm into raw edge quilts myself, but I know some people like to finish their quilts, so. And then I pulled out some coordinating threads for the challenge. Again, it's not required, but if you have the panel and you want to use the threads that I picked out that match it, you can definitely do that. They're glide threads, and a glide is one of my favorite threads. I mean, I love all the threads, but it's definitely one of my favorites. It's a 40 weight poly thread with just a bit of sheen. It's strong enough for machine quilting, but not so thick or not so thin that it's finicky to work with. and it just looks beautiful on the quilt. That little bit of sheen just gives it just a pretty look. You can use glide thread in the bobbin if you'd like. A word of caution, just make sure when you're winding your bobbins that it's not slipping around. You want that bobbin to be nice and tightly wound, no matter what kind of thread you put on the bobbin. Of course, you can also use Aurifil in the bobbin. You can use a different thread as well. So anyway, so those are the options. Aren't those pretty? Oh my gosh, I just love threads. I love picking them out. So we actually sell all the glide threads on our website, and I get to go in the shipping room and pull out the different threads and put it out. So I love that little rainbow. Anywho, if you do go with the thread pack, I do have a thread placement suggestion. So I know that some of you want to quilt along with me just like I'm doing it, and I'll show you where to put the thread. So you don't have to worry like, oh, how am I going to, figure this out? So I hope that you can check that out. Again, the link is in the description box. Everything you need is on one page on my website. You can check all that out. So again, that starts mid-November. I'll have a solid date for you probably the next week or two. Just want to see how that's going. The panel should be here any day. It's on its way, and we'll start cutting like crazy and shipping them out, but we are taking orders now. So you can pre-order it. It's on the website. And if you add the borders or the backing or the thread, you get that at a little bit of a discount, kind of like a group rate there, and you don't need a promo code. Just as you add it, it'll show you the deal that you get. So again, if you're interested in the panel, you can check that out on the website by clicking the link in the description box below. All right, so I'm gonna try something different this time. In the past, I've kind of been, okay, not the best about social media, but I wanna give you options to share beyond the Facebook group, because I know not everybody's on Facebook. So if you share pictures of your challenge quilt, I hope you'll tag it with FMQ Challenge so I can see what you're doing. And I look forward to doing some giveaways throughout the challenge, and I'll be tracking it that way. So hopefully we can do that. And you can follow me and see what things are coming up. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, you know that, Facebook, website, all that fun stuff. So a lot of stuff going on, and you can definitely follow me there. So let me click off of here. So a lot of details, and I'm not trying to make it so like salesy, but we're gonna learn a lot of stuff, and we're definitely gonna be cheering each other on. So I have a couple things that came up during the type chat, because I get on here live about 30 minutes before, and then I can answer the questions Jessica's been writing down. So as we launched the challenge, I've been helping with the customer service email, just as a lot of emails are coming in, and it's good because I can see some of the questions. For those of you that don't live in the US, that live in other countries, I know that the shipping is expensive. I wish it was different. So unfortunately, there's no other dealers in other countries. I'm the only one, so because we make the product ourselves. So just know that if the shipping cost is prohibitive, you're still welcome to quilt along with us on your own fabric, and you can definitely do that. So don't let that be a limitation. And again, I just want to reiterate that when I'm doing the videos, I'll be showing you how to do it on a sewing machine and a long arm. So I'll be demonstrating it on both kinds of machines, because I know that sometimes you want to see it done on the one that you're using. The designs themselves are still going to go together the same way. So don't worry about that. So that's a lot of information, Jessica. You look like you're writing questions like crazy. Let's go ahead and see what kind of questions people have. Today is Jessica's son's birthday, teenager. Okay, mention the links again. In the description box below this video, you're gonna see a link, and it takes you to the landing page on my website. If you're like, I can't find the description box, I know that happens, go to FMQ, like Free Motion Quilter, challenge.com, FMQchallenge.com, and that will take you to a landing page with all the different challenges, and you can just click on the fabulous feathers, and it will take you right there. Again, if you have any issues, just leave them in the comments later, and I'll pop on there and help you get you where you need to go. What do I recommend for bobbin thread color? It depends. Don't you love it? That's usually my answer when the questions come in. Whatever you want to do. And you're like, I don't know what I want to do, Angela. I usually use the same thread color in the bobbin as the top. But within the last couple years, I've become addicted to pre-wound bobbins. It's an addiction for sure. So the pre-wound bobbins that I use are light gray. So that's what I put in the bobbin in the bottom. You can go with a neutral in the value that you're using. So all these colors are kind of in the medium, the light to medium, or you can match the color if you want. It's totally up to you, but you can definitely have fun with it. The great thing is if you do the panel with the backing, that backing is so busy, you're not gonna really see the quilting on the back either way. What is in the kit? Great question. So if you purchase all the things for the kit, it comes with the panel, you can add on the borders, the backing, and the thread. Those, you can do any configuration of that. and then it gets delivered. So if you just want the panel because you have enough fabric laying around, you can totally do that, or you can add the optional things. It's kind of like a choose your own quilt kit adventure. So on the page, when you go to the product, you'll just click what you want to add, hit add to cart, and then it will show you all the things there. Again, if you have any questions, you can email us, and my customer service email is on the page, and I'll probably be the one that answers it, me or Joni. Okay, when and will the panel be available to purchase at the QIMT shop? So those of you that are local and live around here, that's usually the question, right? Like, as soon as we get our shipment of panels in, I'm going to send some over to the shop. So anytime within the next week. So they're telling us, you know, like pretty soon. So I'll definitely try to keep you updated on that. Perfect question. Whoever asked this gets a gold star. So I don't know who it was, but great one. Is this challenge appropriate for total beginners? Yes, it is. Every design, I'll show you like an easier option, and then I'll show you a couple more advanced variations because, you know, we have a range of skills and preferences in the group, but you can definitely jump in. These they're not challenges that you have to kind of work through. You can get in on this one for sure. So definitely can, and I would encourage you, because especially if you love the look of feathers and you struggle with them, you're going to have fun with this, and it's going to be a good time, I promise. How do you get the worksheets? Okay, so the diagrams will always be on the website and the links to the video. You could also sign up to be on our email subscriber list, and then you'll get it emailed to you. So when the challenge actually starts, I release the video and I send out an email to anybody on my email list. Here's a link to the video, here's the diagrams, here's some pictures, here's some not so funny jokes, but you'll kind of smile because you know I'm corny that way. But you can always find them on the website, fmqchallenge.com. You'll click on the Fabulous Feathers and they'll always be right there. So once you find that page, you can just kind of bookmark it and always find them there. So that's where they're going to be. Again, and if you go back to prior challenges, most of them, especially the most recent, have the diagrams right there for you to download. So what size of batting with the panel with borders need? Okay, so it's going to need like 60 by, my math is not so good on top of my head, 60 by 70-ish will give you extra on the edges, but I can look that up and I'll definitely put that on there. What size batting? Good question. So, and the type of batting you use is totally up to you, whatever you think looks good. If you're newer to machine quilting and you don't know what you want to use, a high quality batting with a lower loft, a little bit thinner, will be a little bit easier for you to handle. Will I go over long feathers on a domestic sewing machine? Yes. So when we talk about the irregular areas, we're going to talk about, how do you make those longer feathers? How do you reposition the quilt so that it looks good? So yes, I will. And I will be covering how to quilt feathers and the borders on a long arm. So again, every section I'll do on both. And if there's like, not always is there a lot of different pointers depending on which machine, but in the past I've kind of pulled out long arm and done its own little tutorial. So, and the live chat again is going to be a perfect place to ask if you have any questions about that. But yes, I was showing it on a long arm and a sewing machine. Those of you that have seen like my trunk show know that I started on a long arm. I went from hand quilting to long arming and then went back and taught myself how to quilt on a sewing machine. And so I like to say I'm bilingual in both. So what is my favorite thread color, top and bottom, in my long arm? It's hard to pick a favorite. It's like, what's your favorite fabric? You're like, all of them. I'll tell you right now, I am really digging the pink lemonade, and that's that pink color that's in the challenge kit. What's really cool about it is just like medium pink, but it's not too dark. I just love it. So really, whatever thread colors I have, they're all my favorite. So it's hard to pick one. Anyway, so that's the challenge. Again, it's been a lot of work in the making, and it's finally all come together, and I'm excited to finally get to talk about it. Because even as we're doing test prints and getting to see all this stuff, I'm just like, I can't wait to share it. And so I hope you're excited to learn how to quilt feathers on your sewing machine or long arm, no matter what skill level you are, whether you're brand new or you have plenty of experience and bad habits and you just want some design inspiration. It's going to definitely be helpful for that as well. Okay, so next week, we're going to be talking about how to square up panels, working with panels, and I'm going to actually show you my luminous fabric collection that goes with the panel. So it's not with it, but it's together. So anyway, I'm excited about that. So hopefully you'll join me next week for another live chat, again, 3 p.m. Central, here on my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos or any of the free content I put out, I hope you'll give the video a thumbs up so other quilters find it. It helps YouTube know that that's good stuff to share. So I do appreciate that. And be sure to subscribe so you'll get notifications when I do go live. All right, everybody, that was like showing my baby off for the first time. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, please, if you have any questions, after this is over, leave them in the comments and I'll get on there and answer them. I'm super excited about this, and I hope that you are too. Well, I'll see you all next week. And until then, everyone, happy quilting. Bye.